Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our fourth Zikr Halaka session. The topic for our today's conversation is responsibilities towards our children. In the previous session, we discussed husband and wife relationship. So before we move on to our responsibilities towards our children, I would just like to highlight some basic points. So for instance, there's a huge difference between a human child and an animal child. So God has embedded in the fitrat of an animal the knowledge to survive. So much so that when an animal child is born, it knows exactly what it needs to do in order to survive. Whereas in case of humans, God has not given us the knowledge to survive, but has embedded in us the learning ability. So much so that when a human child is born, it does not know anything. It's completely vulnerable. But the frequency of learning and the learning ability is profound. It's magnificent. The other thing that I want to talk about is in terms of Deen. If we look at Deen, we realize that the institution of marriage has been built basically to take care of the child, the newborn, the human child, and its upbringing from the time that the human child is born up till the time that it reaches a maturity age. So basically, in the last discussion, we discussed husband and wife relationship as the basic foundation of the whole Muslim Ummah. In terms of Deen, we've realized that the basic foundation of the whole Muslim Ummah is on a strong family unit, and the strong family unit is built on the husband and wife relationship as the basic foundation. So basically, the institution of marriage has been built up as an institution to take care of and to upbring a human child from its birth up until the age of maturity. In terms of the foundations of upbringing, it is built on two important concepts. One is ayat and other is risk. In terms of ayat, we have already discussed the definition of ayat in our previous presentations. It basically means any sign that if we think or ponder and utilize all our faculties on that sign, we are able to uncover the hidden truth hidden behind that sign. Ayat also means to pause, to stop, to think, to reflect, and to utilize all our faculties. In fact, if the definition of ayat gets completed only when we think, we ponder, and we utilize all our faculties. In Quran, there are two types of ayats mentioned times and times again. One is the words of God Almighty, which is the Quranic ayat. That if we think and ponder on these ayat, we are able to realize the wisdom and the greatness of God Almighty hidden behind these words. And the second type of ayat mentioned in Quran times and times again are the non-Quranic ayat, which is the work of God. That is the God's creation scattered all around us in science and universe, that if we think and ponder and utilize all our faculties, we are able to realize and uncover the existence of the hidden truth, which is the greatness and the wisdom of the Creator hidden behind all His creations. So basically, the pursuit of knowledge is holy activity as per Deen, because ayat is the foundation of Deen. So pursuit of knowledge, utilization of all our faculties, including thinking and pondering, is the foundation of Deen, is a holy activity. The basic difference between human and an animal is twofold. One is that, as we all know, animals are born with an instinct to survive. It, it is born with the knowledge to survive. It eats, it preys, it hunts, it migrates, it colonizes, it survives, and at the end of its life, it dies. All its life is surrounded by the instinct to survive. In case of human, this is not the knowledge or the instinct to survive. We are differentiated from animal on the basis of two major aspects. One is the power of our free will. our decision and our ability to choose and to decide. And the second is our whole faculties, our six senses, and our ability of thinking and pondering. And it's because of this that God says that those who do not use and nurture and nourish their faculties are of no use to them. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have heart, but they cannot understand. They have mouth, but they cannot speak. They are like animal. But then God goes on to say, but they are worse astray in their path, because to survive is not their path. And this is something that we need to keep in mind when we move on in terms of the discussion related to our responsibilities towards our children. So in terms of the second foundation of upbringing of the children, which is risk, I would like to discuss two important keywords. One is Zayyan and other is Tayyab. So Zayyan or Zinat means anything used to decorate, adornment, jewelry, ornament, etc. It basically means to beautify anything or to make it look attractive. It's something that looks beautiful to us aesthetically as per our fitrat. As we all know, fitrat is those set of characteristics that has been inbuilt in us at the time of our creation by our creator, which are in its most pure form. So whatever looks good to us, not in terms of our eyesight only or not in terms of our vision only, but in terms of all our faculties, in terms of our soul, anything that looks good to us aesthetically is known as zinat or ziyan. And this has been beautifully described in this ayat by God when God says that ziyan or zinat for people is the love for that which they desire. So this is the love for these things that has been inbuilt in our fitrat as a part of our creation. It is in the most pure form. The love for who? What is that? What are those zinat? Of woman. Woman is zinat. Sons are zinat. Heaped up sums of gold and silver. This is not just gold and silver, it means money and wealth. Fine branded horses and cattle and tilled land means means of transportation, wealth, property, power, luxury. These are all things that is the love of these have been embedded in a part in our fitrat as a part of our fitrat by our creator. And these are zinat. It's something that looks good to us aesthetically and as a part of our fitrat. Now let's come to the second word, which is tayyab. Tayyab means something that one like, is the best and the one's most favorite. It's anything that is pleasant to all our senses, not just our soul, all our senses, all our faculties. Something that is lawful, that has been legally acquired as per the laws of the land. So if we look at this ayat, God says, say, who has forbidden the zinat of Allah? Now it is a question by God Almighty. Who has forbidden the zinat of Allah, which He has produced for His servants and good lawful tayyibat as risk? So basically we realize that there are two types or two parts of risk that God has given to us. One is zinat and the other is tayyibat. And in terms of both of these, God says, who has made this haram? Who has prohibited these? These are things for risk. And then God says, goes on to say, they are for those who believe during the worldly life, exclusively for them on the day of resurrection. So basically, these are for the believers, for those who have iman, for the mu'mineen, exclusively on the day of judgment. It would be exclusively for them on the day of judgment. But they are there for them, for the believers during this worldly life. Both tayyibat and zinat. And what are these? These are as risk. And now, what is risk? Risk basically means anything which gives benefits. Any food given by God for nourishment, any regular income. So basically risk is all those sources and means which provide nourishment to us, which is nourishing and which develops us, not just physically, but in terms of all our faculties and all aspects of our personality and character building and development. So risk is anything which provide nourishment to us in terms of our faculties, in terms of our character and personality development. Tayyibat and zinat are risk for us. They are pleasures of this worldly life for the believers because they have been part of our fitrat. So in terms of the responsibilities towards our children, this ayat says those will have lost who killed their children in foolishness without knowledge. Now, one would ask, how can a person kill, or the word used here is qatl, kill his or her own children? How can you do that? So let's go into the depth of the meaning of the word qatl. With the root word of qatl, it has been used in Quran in multiple meanings. In Quran, it's used to kill or to take the life out of someone physically, in terms of killing someone physically. But it also has other meanings. Other meanings is to degrade someone, to abuse someone, to humiliate someone. Basically, to kill their confidence, making them ineffective. Whatever they say or they do not say would not matter. Their existence would not matter. So when God is saying that whoever those are lost who kill their children in foolishness without knowledge, they do not even realize it's been done unintentionally. So killing their children means that we would call names to them, we would kill their confidence, we would discourage them, we would abuse them, we would humiliate them. Basically, we would kill their confidence. And in that process, we are making them ineffective, as if their existence or non-existence would not matter, which is a metaphoric death, or metaphorically killing someone. To enslave mindsets, to make somebody a blind follower. So this is something that we do whenever we ask our children to simply just obey us or obey whoever we want them to obey. Without thinking, without utilizing all their faculties, we want them to be a simply blind follower without asking questions. Or whenever they ask questions, we tell to them, do not ask questions, simply follow. Because I am saying that, or because that person is saying that, or this person is saying that. Blind follower is something which is against the directives of Quran, and it is also is equivalent to actually killing all their faculties, killing their ability to think, and asking them to instead to be a thinker, making them a follower. A blind follower is actually like killing them. To make someone or something ineffective, dead by destroying the inbuilt faculties and abilities, or not to use or nurture those abilities. So we have been blessed with 6 senses, and we have been blessed with our faculty of thinking and reasoning and intellect. So we, by asking our children not to use our ability of thinking or reasoning or of any of their 6 senses, or not nurturing those abilities or not nourishing those abilities, we are effectively making them ineffective. This is equivalent to killing them metaphorically. To deprive someone of knowledge, education and training, or block means of nourishment, training or education in any way whatsoever. I'll give you an example. One of the ladies that I was talking to, she told me that she has blocked her children to use Google for their searches whatsoever, because there are so many things that are going on there, and she does not want their children to Google search. Now keep this in mind, that this is blocking the children. You can monitor them, you can direct them, you can train them, you can upbring them, but you cannot block their ways and means of training and development or education in any way whatsoever, because if you're doing that, it is equivalent to killing them as per Quran metaphorically. So we cannot deprive them of knowledge and education or training, or block their nourishment, education or training in any way whatsoever. Another example that crops to my mind is somebody telling me that she has taken her son out of the normal education system because she wants her son to be Hafiz-e-Quran. Now this is a very, very noble cause. This is something which is extremely appreciated and a step in the right direction. But her taking her son out of the normal education system is like blocking the child's ability, and it's like blocking the education and the training for the child in terms of other aspects of training. So what she should have done is continue trying her son to make a Hafiz Quran, while at the same time continue the child's education in the normal way as it's applicable, and not to block the children education towards other aspects of the education in any way whatsoever. So the ayah goes on to say that those will have lost who killed their children in foolishness without knowledge, they didn't know, and prohibited what Allah had given as risk for them. So if we remember the word risk, it means all those sources and means which provide nourishment to us, not just physically, but in terms of all our faculties development, in terms of all our talents development, all aspects of our personality and character development. So what this ayah is saying, that those will have lost who killed their children unintentionally without knowledge, and they prohibited what Allah had given to them as risk. In this particular case, I would give an example of my daughter. For instance, she came to me and asked me, Mama, I want to pursue my career in music because I'm good in music. It's something that I would like to pursue. And in my mind, I thought that music is prohibited by God. And I didn't complete my knowledge. But I told her that no, you cannot pursue your career in music. You cannot nourish your talent of music further because this is prohibited by God. I didn't know. This was without knowledge. So unintentionally, I have killed my daughter metaphorically by killing that inborn talent that she was bestowed with without completing my knowledge. So if my child wants to pursue anything in any field whatsoever, I need to first complete my knowledge. Is this prohibited by God? Or it's been provided by God as risk, as personality and character development for my child? I need to complete my knowledge. Inventing untruth about Allah. Again, I thought in my mind that this is what is prohibited. So this is inventing untruth by Allah because I didn't complete my knowledge. This is an invention. This is untruth. This is not truth. That this may not be prohibited by God Almighty. So I need to complete my knowledge and cannot prohibit anything whatsoever which Allah has not prohibited. Because that particular thing might be as a source of risk for my child, as a source of nourishment and growth and personality development and building. In another ayah, God says, and so to many of the mushrikeen, their partners. Now we all know mushrikeen is somebody who assign partners with God Almighty. And the partners are those who are being assigned as partners to God Almighty. So basically, mushrikeen are those who listen to somebody else rather than listening to God Almighty. And this somebody else is the mushrikeen's partner, because this is somebody who they listen to instead of God Almighty. So this somebody is the partner of the mushrikeen. Now do keep in mind that mushrikeen is only somebody who is already a Muslim. A non-believer or a kafir cannot be a mushrikeen. So unintentionally, when we do not follow Allah, when we do not obey what Allah is saying, and we do not submit to what Allah is saying with our whole being, but we listen to somebody else, that somebody else becomes a partner of Allah, and we become a mushrikeen, God forbid. So God says, and so to many of the mushrikeen, their partners have made pleasant the killing of their children. How can the killing of the children be made pleasant? How can I be doing all of these activities while in my mind this is pleasant? Because what they did is, in order to ruin them and cause confusion in deen, they invent something in the name of Allah which is not there. These partners invent something in the name of Allah and ask you to follow them, to listen to them instead of listening to Allah. And by doing this, we are becoming a mushrikeen, and these partners are actually, what they're doing, they have made pleasant the killing of our children. So for instance, if I would listen to somebody else and that somebody else would tell me that I am so and so, I have so many qualifications and I understand Deen better than you, I know what is in the Quran, Sunnah and Hadith, and I am advising you that music is prohibited. Now I do not complete my knowledge. I do not listen to Allah. I am listening to that person. And that person became that partner, and I become a mushrikeen. And what that person says, since music is prohibited, I disallow my child not to pursue music or to pursue any field on which she is or he is talented. It's a built-in talent that was there. So if I block that ways and means of education and training and development and nourishment for my child, I'm effectively killing the child. But it has been made pleasant to me because I'm doing this in the name of Allah. I'm doing this thinking that I'm doing this and following the deen. I'm being religious. I'm following what God is telling me. This is something that I'm doing it unintentionally, out of my foolishness, without knowledge. So leave them to what they invent, because this causes confusion in deen. And this ruins them, because when I unintentionally, out of foolishness, killed my child metaphoric by killing his or her inborn abilities and talent, I am ruining my relationship with them. And I am ruining the whole concept of the family unit. That institution of marriage that is supposed to nurture and upbring a child in the best of its or her upbringing and form, right? So if I'm not doing that, I'm ruining not only myself but my child, but also the concept of the whole family and effectively the whole Muslim Ummah, because this family is the foundation of the whole Muslim Ummah. Say, come, I will recite to you what your Lord has prohibited. Now we have come to the ayah which it's highlighted all those things that have been considered as haram by God Almighty or prohibited by God Almighty, other than food and drink. That not you associate anything with him. That do not associate anything with him. Do not do shirk. And to parents, do ihsan. This is something that we have done in our last discussion. And do not qatl your children. So basically, to qatl your children is equivalent to, so say, come, I will recite what your Lord has prohibited to you. So now we are discussing what has been termed as prohibited by God Almighty. That not you associate anything with him. And to parents, do ihsan and do not kill your children. So parents, do ihsan. This is something that we have discussed in our last discussion. And to children, do not qatl your children. So basically, if we look at it, not to do shirk is aligned with doing ihsan with parents. This is an order by God Almighty, not just a simple order, not just a simple verse. It's been termed as haram. Doing shirk is haram. Not to do ihsan with parents is haram. And to kill your children or qatl your children is haram. It is that big a crime, and it's aligned with doing shirk. And God says in Quran that I will forgive every sin except shirk, assigning partners with God Almighty. So this is that grave a shirk. And to qatl your children is aligned with doing shirk. Imagine the level of seriousness. And then God goes on to say, out of poverty, we will provide risk for you and we will provide risk for them. So how can we kill our children out of poverty? There are three possibilities. The first is that I, in my mind, think that I will not be able to afford the education and the training in the areas where my child is good at, where my child inborn talent is. And in that way, I block the child's upbringing and training and education in that particular field. The second possibility is that I think out of poverty, I think that since this particular field chosen by my child, for example, she wants to be an artist, she's good in drawing. She comes to me and I said, no, there are no further career prospects in there. You would not be able to earn that much. So out of the fear of poverty, I limit her career development and progress in education and development in an area where she was good at, which was her inborn talent. So in that way, I cuddle her out of the fear of poverty. And the third possibility is that I have seen many people that they would ask their children to go out and earn living for the family instead of making sure that they are inducted in the education system, inducted in their schools and training and education. So instead of going through training and educations, these children are forced into child labor for the family, to take care of the poverty of the family. And God says, I will provide risk for you and I will provide risk for them. So don't worry about the poverty. Focus on the child's education and training in the areas that is their inborn talents. Nourish them, nurture them, educate them, and train them in the best of the best ways possible. Encourage them to use all their faculties, thinking and reasoning and intellect. Make them thinkers, not followers. Do not kill their confidence. Do not humiliate them. Do not make them non-existence. So thank you so much for listening to this discussion. For the next topic, I'm all ears. Please do let me know what do you want to discuss in our next session. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.